Hello from WKYT News. I'm Bill Bryant, and we welcome you to Kentucky Newsmakers. This is the year that Kentucky will replace Senator Mitch McConnell in the U.S. Senate. He has been elected to 7 six-year terms, but he'll step down at the end of 2026. And that has set off a scramble in both parties. Democrats have more than a half dozen candidates. Republicans also with a crowded primary with 3 higher-profile candidates. Today's guest, former Attorney General Daniel Cameron, also in the running Congressman Andy Barr, and Lexington businessman Nate Morris. Cameron was Kentucky Attorney General from 2019 to 2023 when he lost a bid for governor. U.S. Senate candidate Daniel Cameron joining us today on Kentucky Newsmakers. Thanks for coming. We appreciate it.
Bill, it's always good to be on Newsmakers with you. Honored to be here, my friend.
Are you enjoying making it around Kentucky? I understand you spent this day in Central Kentucky.
Yeah, I was in Central Kentucky and spent some time in Berea and Richmond and here. And yeah, look, I'm enjoying being on the campaign trail and letting folks have conversations with me all across our 120 counties and talk about what they care about and what my vision is. And of course, I officially announced here recently, and certainly grateful for the opportunity to be in this race, and was there with my family, our 2 boys. We've got one on the way, and my mom and my wife Mackenzie and in-laws and supporters from all across this Commonwealth, and so very, very honored to sign those papers and to be a candidate for the United States Senate.
For people who don't know, you are from the E-Town area.
I am from E-Town,
right?
Hardin County. That's exactly right. Yeah.
You're in this crowded primary right now. Maybe the best known candidate at this point, but you don't appear to have the financial resources, at least at this moment, that perhaps Barr and Morris do. But you also spent less money and won the 2023 primary for governor. So can you pull that off again?
Well, I'm going to have the resources to win. I'm going to be the Republican nominee for the United States Senate. And whether it was the gubernatorial primary in 23, what I think people care about is not necessarily how much money you have. Money doesn't vote, people do. And what I am committed to is getting to as many places in Kentucky to have conversations about the issues that people care about, how we ensure that we preserve this Commonwealth and this country as a place of merit and opportunity, a Commonwealth and a country that is focused on how we put as much money into the pockets of people so that they can put food on the table and gas in their vehicles and pay for summer leagues for their kids. We, again, have 2 boys, and we care deeply about the future of this Commonwealth.
What would you say to Republican voters who might want to know before they give anybody their vote? In your case, what did you learn from the 2023 loss in the general election?
I think it's important for people to see your heart and to have conversations all across Kentucky, and that's what I'm committed to doing, is talking to every single voter I can get in front of, whether it's through newsmakers or whether it's through social media or other venues and forums to have those conversations. Again, was in Berea today, was in Richmond, I'll be in Garrett County later. I'm going to get to as many folks as I can, and I think that's important that folks get to know you and don't think of you as just somebody that's on television, but have an opportunity to question you and ask you tough questions and learn more about you, where you're from, and more about your family. And I think we've done a good job of building those relationships across the state. You mentioned that I'm probably the most known candidate in this race, and it's because I've been on the statewide ballot several times now, having run in the primary as Attorney General all the way through the governor's race. And folks, I think, trust our family and like us and want to root for us.
It's very obvious that the Republican candidates would like to have the endorsement of President Trump. He endorsed you in 2023. Congressman Barr says he is doing his work in the House and could transfer that over to the Senate. Nate Morris is obviously connected in the Trump orbit and his family. Will the president endorse, in your view, in this race?
Well, I think what President Trump wants to see is a candidate go out there and earn the support and endorsement of the citizens of this Commonwealth, and that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to work to earn the votes of folks here in Kentucky as I've done in previous races. I'm going to work hard on that level, and I'm hopeful that he'll make a judgment and a decision to endorse me. I'd certainly be honored to have his support. I've had his back, and he certainly had mine in the past. And again, it'd be certainly an honor to have him endorse me in this race. But again, what President Trump values is a hard worker, someone who shows grit and determination. I think I've demonstrated a track record of that over my time in public service.
A couple of weeks ago on this program, State Senate President Robert Stiver says he has not decided who he will back in this Republican primary for Senate, but he did say that he wants the candidates to focus on issues other than Mitch McConnell, and he called out the candidates basically for that. Do you think it is wise for Kentucky Republican candidates to criticize McConnell, whose name is on the state party headquarters for his service to the state?
Bill, what I've said repeatedly, and I will say today to your viewers, is that you deserve a senator that is focused on the future, a senator that's going to stand firm for the values of Kentuckians in our 120 counties, and has a track record of having done that. And I think as Attorney General, I demonstrated that. There will be other candidates in this race that get into the mudslinging and the disparaging of people, but most people here in Kentucky know me. That's not my, that's not how I conduct myself, and I try to be reflect the love of Christ in everything that I do. And so I'm not going to disparage people, whether they're in the race or they're currently serving in the United States Senate. What I'm going to focus on is how do we build a commonwealth and a country that sets the conditions for families to thrive, for small businesses here in Kentucky to thrive. That is what I'm focused on. How do we maintain energy independence? How do we ensure that we're generating low cost and reliable energy when it comes to coal and natural gas? And yes, there's a future for nuclear as well.
I want to ask you about a few issues, but let me back up just a minute. As Barr and Morris attack each other, do you think that provides an opening for you?
Well, Bill, you know this. I'm leading in the polls right now. My hope is that come the May primary, I will earn the Republican nomination for the United States Senate. Look, people here in Kentucky don't care as much about the mudslinging. They want somebody that is focused on them. I'm focused on the issues. I'm focused on how we can produce and ensure that our kids have the best opportunities here in Kentucky. And what Washington it can do is set the conditions for small businesses and big businesses here in Kentucky to make a difference, to impact the economic fabric of our communities. And that's what I think most people want their senator to focus on, ensuring that someone's there speaking truth and someone who's working for the people of this Commonwealth day in and day out, and that's what I'm going to do.
As we run through some of those issues, the cost of living or affordability are buzzwords out there right now in this election year. A lot of economic uncertainty out there. We had a report shortly before the taping of this that there are some more job creation concerns out there. What do you think needs to be done that might make Americans feel more confident about their buying power?
Well, one of the big things is to ensure that they have more money in their pockets. And I think some of the decisions that were made related to the big, beautiful bill, those policy prescriptions will be bearing out over the next several months. And I think more people are going to have more money in their pockets, whether it's because of no tax on tips or no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. Those are going to be big things that the American people can see at the end of the day that's a part of their paycheck. So that will be good. There's also some of the permanency of the 2017 tax cuts is in the big, beautiful bill. So when you think about bonus depreciation, or you think about someone that owns a farm and a community bank that is loaning to that farm, the ability to make sure that some of that loan interest on that farming equipment, again, is something that provides a tax deduction when it comes to making those tax payments. Those are good things, and Kentuckians are going to see that, and I think it's going to increase buying power for a lot of people. And having more jobs and more investment in this country, I take Corning Glass over in Mercer County. That's a good thing. That ensures that people have an opportunity to work and put food on their table. Those sorts of investments are good for Kentucky. That's a pro-growth economic agenda that's happening in Washington, D.C. right now. And again, I want to be a part of that and help set conditions in Washington that make it easier for people to do business here in Kentucky.
An issue that is a moving target right now is this whole health insurance enhanced subsidies. President Trump says he wants health insurance to be fully reconsidered, and many Republicans say that's what they would like to see, rather than some continuance of the Affordable Care Act. What's your view?
Well, my view is, as I come across folks all across Kentucky, they care deeply about health care costs and child care costs. And I think it's imperative that members of the United States Senate and the House look at ways in which we can address those concerns. And obviously there's been some debate within even the Republican Party about how we go about that. But we've got to focus on that, and we've got to fix it. I know people now, I mean, Bill, you probably do as well, that are making job determinations, job decisions based on their ability to access health care at a reasonable cost. One of the things that I'm focused on and interested in is when I talk to independent pharmacists, healthcare costs related to pharmaceutical drugs. The PBMs right now essentially are pushing aside the small pharmacists and the independent pharmacists in Kentucky.
Pharmacy benefit managers.
Yes, PBMs, pharmacy benefit managers. The costs there have grown exponentially, and so it's hard for a single mom or someone that's on a fixed income to pay for those medicines. I think if we try to figure out and change the structure related to PBMs, have more transparency there, make sure that healthcare costs go down as it relates to medicines, that's a good thing, and that's a step in the right direction, and I want to support that effort.
Immigration policy has obviously shifted in the Trump administration. There have been some high-profile controversies recently, as you know, about enforcement situations. We know America needs productive workers. Where should we go with immigration policy?
Well, when it comes to immigration policy, my view is that we've got to look out for the American citizen, and the focus should be on how do we make sure that the American worker has as many opportunities as possible to get work here. We know the workforce participation rate are sometimes low, but we need to make sure that we're incentivizing the American worker to be in the workforce, knowing that work is an honorable thing, and that is what our commitment should be. And when it comes to illegals, look, violent illegals need to be removed from this country, and President Trump is doing that at a historic rate. And then when you pair that with the idea that border crossings from illegals is at a historic low, these are good things, and it supports the effort to ensure that there are more job opportunities for the American worker, and that is what I'm focused on.
As candidates work to stand out on these issues, and you briefly headed this direction, but Congressman Barr recently said that there could be renewed use of coal at these data centers in Kentucky. They require a lot of energy to operate. Is promising a future for coal something that you embrace as well?
Absolutely. I mean, we've got to maintain our historical competitive advantage, and that has come because of low cost and reliable energy that is built on coal and natural gas. And you talk about AI. I mean, one of the things that will allow Kentucky to punch above its weight in this regard is the fact that a lot of these technologies that are coming online require a lot of energy. CPUs are needed and necessary for ensuring that some of the images that come through AI or the research that's done on Google, that takes a lot of energy and consumption power through these centers. And so Kentucky has that energy. Let's utilize it. Let's generate more of it. And let me also say, when it comes to coal, a byproduct that is coal ash. When we think about our iPads, our iPhones, rare earth minerals, or rare earth elements, if you will, power those iPhones, power those tablets. If we are able to extract from coal ash those rare earth elements, that's a good thing, because what it does is help our national security, and it ensures that we are no longer relying on China. Kentucky can lead on this issue, and I want to help be that advocate in the United States Senate.
General Cameron, the Democrats have not, they want this seat badly. They have not won a Democratic seat in Kentucky since Wendell Ford's last victory in 1992. Do you see a favorite on that side to who will be up against the Republican nominee?
Well, Bill, I think they're going to have a spirited campaign and debate over there about who that nominee is going to be. Obviously, there's some repeat performances on that side. Look, I'm focused on running my campaign and getting through this Republican primary and being the Republican nominee and then winning in November. And what I tell people all the time is that the issues that I'm talking about, health care, child care, crime prevention, how do we ensure that drugs don't ravage our communities? Those are things that people care about regardless of what their political affiliation is. So I'm focused on those things. I'm hopeful that I'll have an opportunity to represent the values and interests of every single Kentuckian in the United States Senate, and I look forward to being able to do that.
Will you do primary debates?
Bill, if you want me to show up here and do a debate with you, I'll do it, my friend.
Okay, all right. Just wanted you on that record. Thanks for coming by. We appreciate it.
Of course, always good to see you.
Everybody, we'll be back on WKYT's Kentucky Newsmakers in a moment. Welcome back to WKYT's Kentucky Newsmakers. Tax season is about to begin. There are some changes you may need to know about before you file with Uncle Sam. Dana Overall is a longtime certified public accountant here in Central Kentucky. He's joining us now to help navigate this 2026 tax landscape, which I guess is really the 2025 tax season, really, right?
That is correct.
Yeah. Welcome. It's good to see you. And thanks for coming.
You as well, Will. Thank you.
There were some changes in tax policy in 2025, particularly reflected in that the big, beautiful bill that passed over the summer that will impact many filers this year. Who needs to be paying attention?
On the individual side, let me take a step back. I have been practicing as a CPA. Now, this will be my 38th year. There have been some more that I would consider to be consequential type changes in the tax bill, but there are some changes individually with this tax bill that are going to affect certain segments of the nationwide workforce. There's been more changes than I have probably ever seen in that regard.
And you said particularly when it comes to tips and overtime.
Two of the biggest ones would be people who work in the tip industry and the people who have overtime on their paychecks. So a lot of people have heard that tip income is going to be excluded from income. It can and will be up to $25,000 per household of tip income that could be excluded from taxable income. And so this applies to people who would customarily receive tips, such as servers, barbers, hairstylists, delivery drivers, and so on and so forth. This income is generally reported on an employee's W-2. And so what the new bill did is it made this income subject to a deduction from taxable income. So it's not just a deduction that you're showing on itemized deductions or whatever. This is an actual deduction above taxable income, so it lowers your taxable income.
Coming off the taxable income.
It absolutely is.
Well, how important is it that people document that so that they can demonstrate that they've met the threshold?
The tips must be reported on the W-2 or on a 1099 or on an IRS form 4137. If you work in that industry, you know what a form 4137 is. So it must be income that is reported. And there are some exclusions for this tip income, so maybe not all of it is going to be excluded, but for a vast majority of workers out there who earn tip income, there's a possibility that all of that income could be tax-free. Some of the examples that would be excluded would be tip income that, once again, is reported on your W-2. And that also includes distributions from tip pools. But the big thing is that tip income must be voluntarily paid by the customer. So if there's an automatic service charge on your ticket, that is not subject to the exclusion. If it is a mandatory gratuity, that is not excluded from taxable income.
Well, that's interesting. So I guess employees or the service workers would not want it to be done that way, right?
You are exactly right. They would
prefer that it be the gesture of the customer.
You are exactly right.
Yeah. Okay, now on overtime, some changes there.
The overtime changes, I personally think, are going to affect the most people who are employed with this new tax bill. The overtime exclusion, and once again, I'm going to have to refer to some of my notes here with the numbers. The qualified, they've come up with a new term, a qualified overtime exclusion. And that is $12,500 of taxable income per individual, or $25,000 for married filing joint. And speaking with some of our clients after they have spoken with their employees, there seems to be some misunderstanding as to what exactly is excluded from taxable income if it's overtime. And so we've been using this example, and I think it's fairly straightforward. If someone has a hourly pay rate of $10 an hour and they work 1 hour of overtime, they're going to get paid $15 for that 1 hour of overtime. It's not the $15 that is excludable from taxable income. It's the overtime portion of it, which would be the $5. Mm-hmm. Now, where this comes into play in the reporting is on the 2025 W-2 form. They did not put a box on that form to show overtime income. So they have put the impetus on the taxpayer and or the tax preparer to accurately report that figure.
So the forms were not ready for the change, essentially.
You are correct. They will be for tax year 2026, but not for 2025. So what the IRS has done is they have put that responsibility on the taxpayer or the tax preparer. And so what we are doing as a firm right now for clients who we prepare the payroll payroll for, we are including in the employee's W-2 a copy of their final pay stub of the year, which shows the overtime and the double overtime. So basically what the tax law excludes, it excludes 1/3 of the overtime shown on that pay stub. If it's double overtime, it excludes half of the overtime.
Do you anticipate that more people are going to need professional guidance for their taxes this year?
I would highly recommend it. Of all tax years that I have practiced, these two changes right here, I think would necessitate at least a consultation with a tax professional.
There's always a lot of talk about tax simplification. There was talk at one point, it can be done on a postcard someday, but it seems that the more changes there are, the more filers really do need to get some guidance.
They do. I would highly recommend it.
People can begin filing later this month, and the IRS has to hear from you by April 15th, right?
That is correct. The April 15th filing deadline has not changed. The way I understand it right now, the IRS is going to open up the filing portal for the 2025 tax returns on January the 26th.
If people do need to extend, what is your obligation to go ahead and pay what you may owe?
The extension, once again, in all my years of practice, this is another area that there's some confusion on. What an extension is an extension to file the tax return. It is not an extension to pay the taxes. So what I would recommend is if a tax preparer cannot get their information together by April 15th, to go ahead and file that extension to extend the filing to individuals. It extends it to October the 15th. But I would highly recommend that when they file that extension before April the 15th, to go ahead and make a payment with that extension if they feel like that they are going to have additional tax liability.
Are there benefits to getting going with this early? I mean, you said January 26th will be when you can begin filing with the IRS. Is there a benefit to doing it at that time? Or, a lot of times the documents kind of trail in. You'll be maybe in February before you've gotten enough information to gather.
If you are a tax preparer and you have some investment income, for example, and you are receiving statements from your investment company, a lot of times you will receive something showing dividend income or interest income or capital gain income. And subsequently, a couple weeks later, you will get an amended return, a corrected statement from your financial institution. For those people, I would recommend waiting just a couple of weeks just to make sure that there's no corrections that come in. From a practitioner standpoint, we would rather see people get their information to us sometime in the first part of March, because if you wait later, if you are having your taxes prepared by a tax professional, the closer it gets to April 15th, the busier that person
on
is.
everybody. Yeah,
Absolutely.
You told me there are no substantial changes to the state.
There really is
year.
not.
Yeah,
There really is not.
All right, well,
And I would like to get into some of the tax changes as related to our senior citizens.
Well,
our
real quick,
65 and
we get
older.
just a second here. Go ahead.
There was talk with this new tax bill of making Social Security not subject to income tax. Since 1984, a portion of Social Security has been subject to income tax. So to address that for seniors 65 and older, they have instituted a new senior bonus deduction of $6,000 per individual on that tax return.
Thanks for coming. We appreciate it. Dana,
Thank you
overall
very much.
CPA, we appreciate it. We'll wrap up Newsmakers in a moment. We sure do appreciate you being with us for this edition of Kentucky Newsmakers. Remind you, we continue our coverage of the 2026 legislative session on air and online, of course, on our streaming channel, WKYT Plus. Have a good week ahead.